way back when I was in the minor leagues, I was a baseball player back in the old days, and when I was in the minor leagues, we used to do the holiday baseball clinic down here. I know some of you have probably been to the holiday baseball clinic, right? But years ago, Coach Faulkner, who's the head coach at Venice, and I used to do the holiday baseball clinic, and Coach Sinibaldi was there, and Coach Orlowski, who some of you guys have met already, were there as 9-year-olds, right? And they used to come out, and all we used to try to emphasize to everybody when they came out to our camps was, make sure you enjoy yourself out here. Make sure you keep playing the game to have fun, to be with your friends. And if you can appreciate the game that way, you'll grow and get better at the game as you get older. Coach Sinibaldi came out. He was the smallest guy at the camp when he was 9 years old, guys. The smallest guy. He was a little runt. His sister, how much older is your sister than you?
She's 2 years younger.
She's 2 years younger than him, was a better player than him. That's not a joke. She was a better player. His sister was one of the better players at the camp, though. But so he used to come out, and Josh always had a chip on his shoulder. He's like, man, first I'm going to catch my sister, and I'm going to become a better player than her, and then I'm going to catch up with all these other kids. Right? So we used to give out awards at the camp, and we used to give out awards for, one was our MVP, but the most important award was the hardest worker. Right? The guy who did everything right at the camp, who was the best hustler, who was the guy who really respected the game of baseball, did everything right, and you could tell he loved the game and he wanted to get better. And so while Coach Sinibaldi was one of our worst players at the time, he was the hardest worker for 3 years in a row. So he won that 3 years in a row at the camp. He used to get a little model bat.
Yeah.
Still have that bat today?
I think I do, actually.
So, but the one thing I can tell you as a coach is that we always remember the guy that's the hardest worker, guys, because the best player doesn't always remain the best player. You know, like whoever the best player is at your age now probably isn't going to be the best player when he gets to be 12 or 13 or 14 or 4 years down the road from where you are right now. Unless he's also the hardest worker. You understand that? So that guy who's the hardest worker, if I'm going to bet on a guy, I'm going to bet on the hardest worker to be the best player when he gets older. Because if you're a hard worker, you're going to get stronger. As you get a little bit older, you get into your pre-high school years and your early high school years. That's the guy who's going to be conditioning and lifting and doing all the things that he has to do to become a more physical, stronger player. So just because you are the best player now, and that's great if you are, right? Don't take it for granted because kids will always be looking to come and get you, right? What we used to always say when I played professionally is there's always someone out there looking to get your job. And I know it's not kind of at that level for you guys yet, but there's always a handful of kids that maybe aren't as good as you now that want to be the best guy. So if you are the best guy, and if you can incorporate that with being the hardest worker, you'll remain the best guy and you'll go through the roof, right? But that opportunity is open for everybody, right? Everyone has the opportunity to come out here and make the right choice and play hard and work hard and listen to their coaches, right? Right? Sometimes ability isn't a choice. But I've seen a lot of kids, especially in this town. I mean, I played at Chuck Ryder when I was a kid, and I've seen a lot of kids in this town overcome. Anybody ever take hitting lessons with Jack Voigt? Everybody know Jack Voigt? Jack Voigt was a player who was a year younger than me, and he came up through the Venice, Little League system, came up, played at Venice High School with me and Coach Faulkner, coached Coach Sinibaldi and Coach Orlowski at times. And Jack went to LSU, played college ball, and he played 5 years in the big leagues with the Orioles. And the great thing about Jack was he was the perfect example of what I'm talking about. We used to make fun of Jack because he worked so hard. He would literally be at the field hitting off the tee for like 3 hours a day. He would stay out the field. We wondered if he lived at the field when he got older. But what he did was he became such a great student of the game because he was trying to get better all the time that he learned everything there was to learn about the game. He wasn't a very talented player when he was younger. He was a little bit skinny. He was a little bit weak. His swing was a little bit long. But man, he got there, and then his knowledge was there because he had to soak it all in to get better, and then he went through the roof. So I'm just here to tell you guys that happens, right? So if you really have a desire to play and you may not be the best guy yet, it's okay. Because if you keep that desire, you will be one of those guys. You saw the high school state championship team is loaded with those guys this year. That's why they won. They didn't win the state championship because they were the best team, talent-wise. They won the state championship because they were the best team work ethic-wise. They were the best team, and they were filled with winners. Those guys are winners, the guys that work hard. So that's just my note to you guys today. And, Coach, do you have a Hardest Worker Award at this camp? I hope you do.
Yeah, we do.
Can you call me and tell me who wins that award at the end?
Give a little tweet, maybe.
Maybe we'll put a little tweet on the Burn Twitter about the hardest worker at the camp.